So thanks for joining in huge number again for this breakfast meeting of NIT Alumni Bangalore chapter, which has been happening last 1.5 to close to 2 years now. This March will be finishing 2 years. And the topic for today is Agri-Tech, as all of you have given the answer to the survey, what we did last month. Okay. And I have a couple of questions as we go ahead on the slido.com, and most of you should be on the Slido active, so that whenever I pose a question, you can answer so that we get your opinions. Good, thank you. And along with me, Mr. Sujan, who is helping me along on this managing the whole show, and Mr. Kotri sir and Swaraj sir and the coordinators for this today is Mr. I.C. Rao, who is from Bangalore, and Mr. Srikanth Prabhu from Bangalore. So they are taking us forward, and they will keep us engaged till 9:25. Till the local president, Mr. Baswaraj, this one. The last 5 minutes only will come back. So feel free to ask any type of questions on the chat, and we have a couple of speakers and all those. I leave it to Mr. I.C. Rao and Srikanth to take forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Inna sir, I think you're on mute. Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Udupa, and welcome everyone. I along with Mr. I.C. Rao will plan to coordinate this session on Agri-Tech. As you realize, it's a very interesting session. Those in the sector, those in the startup world, and those generally interested in India's agriculture would know that it's a very contextual and a relevant topic for us to discuss today. While agriculture itself is a very huge topic, I think we'll try to limit today's discussion to Agri-Tech, or the entrepreneurial aspects or initiatives within agriculture and using technology. And we have lined up 3 eminent speakers on this, covering various aspects of the value chain and various subsectors within agriculture. And I'll try to demystify or talk about the various aspects of this vast arena of Agri-Tech very shortly. But I'll also like to introduce my coordinator, Mr. I.C. Rao here. Mr. Rao, can you hear us?
Yeah, sure. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Maybe Mr. Rao, you can go ahead with a quick introduction about yourself, and then we can continue.
Just to summarize, I'm from 83 batch, and I subsequently in mechanical BTech, and then subsequently I did my international management from IMI New Delhi. Mostly my career was with Aditya Birla Group, in the sense I joined campus interview company Indal, and then subsequently I had an opportunity to join Hindalco and take over both the companies, Indal and Pennar, where I had worked. So virtually 30 years in aluminium, and I became head of Hindalco marketing before I moved to Singapore for 5 years to head Aditya Birla Group's largest international trading company as a president. And at the age of 50, I had actually started doing a lot of work in my village on the ground, science, math tuitions, as well as English, spoken English course for all the village schools under the good trust called Advaita Bharatiya Community Development and Education Trust, fully funded by me from 2005. So 2012, I decided to pursue my passion in this area. And we continue to, this is the 16th year we are running these courses free of cost, and benefits, it has benefited more than 10,000 students, about 500 to 700 per year. It's all free. Then in addition to that, I wanted to do something, as you must be knowing, after the 1978 or 74 Land Reforms Act, the land has actually become, plenty of land is there, but nobody cultivates because of the small land holdings. So for marginal farmers, I wanted to do some experiments. So I bought over about 8 acres of land, which I will share with you, show to you. And we are experimenting variety of fruits being grown in the climate of Mangalore, because Mangalore is not famous for fruits. It's mainly famous for nuts like coconuts and areca nuts and cashew nuts, but no fruits. So we are experimenting. I will just share with you in the next 1 minute how it looks like, the experiment. I don't know whether you can see now. Can you see? Or I should put the share
Yes, you need to
screen.
share screen. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, you
1
need
minute.
to put the share screen on with the audio on.
There is no audio in this. I will be continuously speaking. Are you able to see now?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, this is the experimental farm, about 8 acres of it. And we have 1 acre of guava, 1 acre of mango, 1 acre of sapota, 1 acre of rambutan, mangosteen, coconut, and minor fruits like multiple jackfruit, milk fruit from Cambodia is also there. And in coconut, we have 5 country varieties. And currently, one success story from here after the 10-year experiment is the guava, which I will share at the end of our presentation. This has a potential to, take all the ideas from both Ashok Patil as well as our Shiva Pawati to make sure that I take, look at the continuously at the supply chain all the way to the marketing. That is the plan. This is the overview of our farm. This is actually done by NITK students for one of their projects. Now it actually looks more like a forest, because this is a 2-year-old video. So this is my introduction. I will definitely share with you the progress which we have made on one fruit, and it will take about 3 minutes at the end of the presentation. Over to you, Srikanth.
Thank you, Mr. I.C. Rao. That was a great introduction, and I think we are all excited to see more of your farm. I don't have that prolific or glorious introduction of myself. I am a 2009 pass out from Suratkal, and later I went into the area of investment banking. I joined Goldman Sachs, and then I did the typical trajectory of the NITKs, I would say these days, and I ended up doing an MBA after that from IIM Bangalore, and then again did a couple of years in investment banking in Royal Bank of Scotland. My trust with agriculture is in the last 5 years, where I got an opportunity to work with an early stage impact investing firm called Social Alpha, where I led the investments and have led close to about 40 investments, and out of which I think about 12 to 15 had, we're directly agri-tech or had some kind of an agri-link, and that's how I got to into the sector and have got some idea. So the format of today's event is that we have, I will take maybe 5-7 minutes to set the context, or maybe like there are many people from maybe adjacent sectors or outside sectors also attending this. So set the kind of context with regard to what agri-tech is, what the opportunities are. There might be many aspiring entrepreneurs tuning in. So what could be some of the sectors, focus areas, gaps, and trends for the next decade. We believe agri-tech is a very multi-billion-dollar opportunity for the next decade, and we will try to look at that. And we also, in context to the kind of sectors and subsectors we'll talk about, we have lined up 3 eminent speakers who have all been entrepreneurs or continue to be entrepreneurs in the agri-tech arena or domain. And they will definitely help us double click on some of those subsectors, the topics which have been already shared with all of you. Right? And then we'll close with about 10 minutes of question and answers. Right? And so that will be the format of the 3 speakers. And then we also have a few individual speakers who will introduce themselves towards the end for about 2 to 3 minutes. And we'll get to hear Mr. I.C. Rao again on that, along with many other speakers who have volunteered. So this is the overall format. I think we are all set to begin. Again, welcome everyone, and thank you for this. Thank you for joining this early in the morning, and look forward for an exciting session and discussion. So let me share my screen, with which we'll begin the whole context setting. It's a very quick presentation. Let me know if you can see my screen.
Yes, we can.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, everyone. And so I would like to use the next 5 to 7 minutes maybe to set the context on what is agri-tech, right? And where does agri-tech feature in the larger context of agriculture, and what are some of the gaps, or I would say we as entrepreneurs would look it as opportunities and not gaps. What are the opportunities that is up for grabs actually for all of us to look at this and this is the kind of used the presentation that we developed within Social Alpha, which is initiative supported by Tata Trust to incubate and invest in early stage startups in several impact domains including agriculture. So India's agriculture in general, there is a big paradox, right? So on one end, we are one of the world's leading food producers. We produce, in terms of fruits and vegetables, poultry, and several other dairy, right? We are we are either the number one or we are in the top three, right? And second is, as you are all aware, and maybe we'll not go into that issue a lot, but it is a hugely issue. It's a very populous issue. It's a big election issue. Every ruling dispensation at the state and central level have schemes, programs, etc. to support our farmers, right? So it right from the beginning, right from the days of green revolution, when we were facing food scarcity, to now when we have food surplus actually, and 2.5 times more surplus than our desired food grain levels. We are doing well on that front, but on the other hand, I'll come to the paradox later. But the point being, it is already something that is a focus. And then in recent times, we also are seeing several initiatives in both in the corporate sector and in the startup sector, where there has been a focus on agriculture, right? But the paradox being, yet the both from a productivity point of view as well as the situation of our farmers' point of view, especially the small and marginal farmers, it is quite, I would say, abysmal, if I can use the word, right? And why is it so? I mean, there are some statistics that drive that, right? So 50% of our population still depends on agriculture in some way or the other. Overall households, typically both the male and the female member of the household are engaged in agriculture, as you would be aware. And unfortunately, it only contributes to about 18% of the GDP. This was also shared in the post that was sent to the WhatsApp groups. So you are all aware that there is a big disparity between what the how much of a population is into it, and what is the wealth creation that comes out of it, right? And second is more than 80% of people who are the poor people in India are actually residing in the rural areas. So point being, it is all correlated at the end of the day. Agriculture being a rural and tribal domain activity, most of the poverty is also concentrated, which is not very surprising, but that is just a fact. And third point is, characteristic. I mean, India is characterized by a very high amount of small and marginal farmers. We define them as any farmer with less than 2 hectares of land, and more than 75% are actually less than 2 hectares, and I think the number is more than 85% if you just make it into like 2 acres or 2 to 3 acres, right? So that is the situation and the statistics. And again, not surprisingly, farmers don't make very good income in that sense. The only average farm income, household income, is about 6,500, and it will be interesting to note that only 50% actually comes from some kind of cultivation. Cultivation in the sense that farm based cultivation. There are other streams of income like livestock, labor, like Manrega and all of that adds up to that income, right? So this is the kind of grave reality. On one side there is obviously no opportunity, but this is also one of the realities. This is just one slide. I wanted to talk about what are the different focus areas. I mean, these have been my learnings from my role at Social Alpha in the last 5 years. So we broadly look at three main domains, right? So one is in the farm, the production, and the yield side. Then of course post farm, the value addition, and the post harvest side. And then of course the larger aspect of market access, and marketing to the farm to fork, or the farm to plate side, right? Which is where the food comes to us. And we are also characterizing like one on the agriculture side, and then also the dairy, livestock, and fisheries, which equally are allied value chains within the domain of agriculture itself, right? And here we have just noted down a few like focus areas. These are all based on current trends and current gaps. Basically, our productivity is actually very low, and hence it gives an opportunity to drive innovation and technology in all of these sectors. I'll not touch upon each of them very quickly. And in the farm management and the production side, things like irrigation, mechanization, decision making based on data. Now that we have the luxury of dealing with data, as even the small and marginal farmers have a smartphone in their hand. Crop protection, both in terms of for various disease and pest kind of situations. Insurance and access to capital are budding sectors. Still a lot needs to be done in terms of providing access to capital. Leasing models, as we can't expect marginal farmers to own assets, so how do we make that possible? In terms of value addition, a lot more can be done. In fact, I believe the bedrock of Atmanirbhar Bharat can happen by a layer of entrepreneurship and value addition above the farm production level, right? And it could be preservation, cold storage, agro processing, which I'll talk about, and grading, sorting, packaging, etc. uh, Eventually the market access. And yes, even today the market value chains in the marketing front are very traditional, and there's a big role to kind of move them to a more organized level, data driven level, so that there's less information asymmetry, higher price discovery, transparency. And a lot of good initiatives like farmer producer organization, or farmer producer companies, so to be specific, which is again being set up by the government initiatives. And their capacity building digitization will play a great role if done well, in terms of organizing the market side of the things, and also perhaps bringing a more entrepreneurial energy in the agri leadership level, right? And perhaps get a lot of youth to work on that. uh, and in the context of dairy, livestock, fisheries, again, similar kind of, as you
Shant,
see,
we need to little hurry up
yeah,
because we have exceeded our time.
sure. So yeah, I'll maybe stop at this. So focus on feed, fodder, focus on again diagnostic treatment, services to the last mile, inputs, vaccinations, and similar things about distributed processing. How can we get micro entrepreneurs at various levels, at decentralized levels? And finally, the same situation like farm market access for the livestock, and we have Uttam will talk about on the fishery side of things very shortly. So this is just to set the context. Like I said, there are a few other startups I had, but I'll not go through it. But let me just skim through it. Like there is a mechanization startup, soil testing, water testing startup, agri fodder startup for dairy, cold storage, solar pumps, right, and data-driven remote sensing and analytics for the farmer on a smartphone, and livestock marketing for goats. So these are some examples. I'll stop here with regard to the way we wanted to set the context, and we'll, I think, invite our eminent speakers to now start speaking and talking more about their entrepreneurial venture. Mr. IC Rao, maybe I would request you to introduce Mr. Ashok
Yeah,
Patil
good
first.
morning.
And
Yeah, good morning, everyone. Again, Mr. Ashok Patil will be speaking about the entire value chain related to organic veg. He's really one of the pioneers. 1984 civil from KREC stroke NITK, and he'll be talking about production, protection, processing, packaging, and marketing, And I can tell you the lot of things to learn because we have had the privilege of having the peek on his presentation. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, good morning to you, everyone. My name is Ashok Patil. I have passed out in 1984 from civil. So after KRSC days, I moved to Pune and did some services with some company in Pune. And within 3 years, I checked out of the company and I've been on my own since then. First of all, I would request you to share with my bad voice because I had some problem some decades ago in my throat, so which has caused I lost my original voice. Now I established since long my graduation. I established my construction company in 1992, and till now it's been there now 28 years down the line, and been able to establish at least 5 lakh square feet of floor space in Pune. And besides that, I have having been emanated from agricultural community from Bijapur. So I have started with my cold storage and export unit in near to my village, which is around 35,000 square feet floor space. And then when I learned this all, like later on, I found that when I came across my ailment, then I thought to just concentrate more on chemical-free products, and where I started concentrating on organic lifestyle. So when we talk of organic lifestyle, it's a big job and a big word. It's not as simple as we really spell out, because it encompasses complete lifestyle. Yeah, I mean supply chain, right from your production and the last mile delivery. So while establishing this now, then I thought of incubating another company called Vegmart Retail Private Limited, which was done in the year 2014. So since then, I have really made it more organized. And since then, we have, after incubation, we went on with all credentials, certifications, and all standardizations, and the supply chain connected with that. So when we talk of organic, it's not only an isolated word. If it is to be an organized industry, that need to be completely encompassing right from your production practices, your protection, your processing, retail marketing, and export marketing. So in order to do so, I started with my own farm. Around 32 acres of land has been converted into an established, we call it as a certified farm, which is a status farmer. I'm a status farmer. Having completed 3 years into organic, we have been successfully in STs, try on my own farm, then get connected with the other farmers. And we try to get the farmers connected from other certifying bodies. So how exactly organic means is, organic is really now been there's been a bill passed in the parliament today and last 2 years ago to make it more organized, because there have been many cases and people, they say that I do organic, but what is organic, how they really certify organic, how they stand as an organic farmer, has been a debate. So in order to address that particular certification, so there's a body called APIDA. It's an agriculture promotion body from Government of India, and they have got their certifying body. They are empaneled certifying body to that extent, and farmers are allowed to, go to TraceNet from APIDA and get connected themselves. So they get certified with the certifying bodies in terms of SOP is concerned. So once certifying bodies come to their visit, farm visit, and see to that the practices, the code of practices in farming is as per their observations and schedule, then they issue certifications starting from C1, C2, and C3. So C1 is conversion 1, conversion 2, and conversion 3. So it takes complete 3 years to be a status farmer. To be called a status farmer, you will have to cross over 3 certifying years. So thereby you will have to overcome your soil testing and water testing, then make it totally like chemical free. So down after that, your thing starts with what to grow and how to grow. So to address that, we established the Vegmat Retail Private Limited, and this being a merely marketing wing of our entire supply chain. So we established FCO, that's a farmer produce company, of which I'm a director, and more than 200 farmers have been attached to that. And that particular FPO, FPC takes care of production and the production practice and code of practices. So these are all code of practices been observed, monitored, and audited by a certifying body, duly empaneled by APIDA. So once that production is done up, then comes your post-harvest scenario. Where in post-harvest scenario, I have my pre-cooling, because production can be in terms of fruits and vegetable, we call it FNV, or it can be groceries, or maybe anything like milk and otherwise. So ultimately, when we thought of organic in Vegmart, we thought of making it as a lifestyle. In order to make it as a lifestyle, then the organic, that anyone that whoever eats need to be provided with anything and everything that he eats every day in kitchen. So that means it ranges from your fruits, vegetables, groceries, your processed products, and your milk products. So in order to encompass all these areas, we took a lot of trouble in getting all these products, duly get it registered, branded, and get it certified from necessary authorities, and make it as a lifestyle. So when it is a lifestyle, we are providing a complete solution to the organic products. So while now marketing, before marketing, then goes, there comes a processing, and before that, that comes a production. So for production, we have established a farmer produce company. And once this in the post harvest scenario, we have our cold storage, we have our pack house, duly registered with APIDA, and I have my export company, which we do export it to overseas, like and countries like UK, Europe, and East. So in the later post harvest scenario, we have invented a kind of a I have a technology partner into it. We have been able to successfully bring about disinfestation, dehydration, sterilization. These are the different terminologies used for the transformation of fresh produce into processed products. So when you really, like suppose if it is in terms of grains and pulses, in the post-harvest scenario, there are, in a embryonic situation, there will be a lot of germs still persisting in the post-harvest grains and grain surfaces. So that need to be disinfested. So unless it is disinfested, then it develops fungus development on that. So that is how the product gets lost. So if you take, for example, Food Corporation of India and all, so much of their product here goes to waste for lack of preservations. So in this scenario, whatever technology I've been using is a convective energy, which is a combination of microwave and electrical energy in a formatted manner. Depending on the surface of the grains, we use the intensity of the microwave rays. So we have developed a prototype. May not be a prototype, it's a kind of an application stage, wherein we have around 100 kg per hour capacity grains can be processed onto it. So once this grain is mass is moved through that particular beam, so it disinfests the grains, and the discharge that is packed up, so that need to be packed up without before it gets oxidated. So like in case of our Vegmart product pouches, we have our brands called Select Organic. So Select Organic pouches are packed at this particular pack house level. So once that is packed forever, and it will be opened only by the consumer side, so that there is no chance of any oxidation or even mixing of non-genuine products to it. Likewise, in case of perishables, we have cleaning agents, and in our own pack house, we have developed grading sorting units. We have like sorting machines have been established there, so which will provide us genuine output, and we do go for packing there itself. So the perishables and non-perishables are packed at the pack house and brought to the urban distribution center. And that is in Pune, we have our own urban distribution center. Since last 5 years, our floor space of around 4,000 to 5,000 square feet. And we have made it Pune as a launch pad in order to, make a complete supply chain in terms of retail marketing. So in the year 2018, we have been awarded as the best retailer of the year by the Cabinet Ministry. And now we have more than 350 products, right from your grains, pulses, cereals, staples, processed products like your juice, vegetable juices, and your disinfected products, all this. Now, for that purpose, I would like to just take you through the PPT, which I will not refer thoroughly, because this given 15 minutes is not sufficient for covering entire range. So Vegmart we are taking it as a changing agent with mission and vision and there in place. So we have our quality team separately for this. We have our senior consultants advising on the quality, and as well as in the agronomical services. So this is how we have been teamed up. These are from the experts from different areas, from processing areas, from agriculture, the productions. And now our business model is basically in terms of products and geographical coverage. We have over 200 farmers spread over 7 to 8 districts from Maharashtra. I have not started with Karnataka as an yet, because Maharashtra since is a better organized as compared to the rest of the states in terms of organic. So now, since nevertheless Karnataka has been really proactive in the recent last few years, so we are thinking of catching up with different metros in the next 3 years period. So Pune has been a launchpad in terms of supply chain and distribution system. So we have developed our own franchisee model in Pune. So it is kind of a company owned, company operated, but now in the later course of time, we are going for the FOFO, franchisee owned and franchisee operated. So in this model, we are kind of making, in order to make it as a lifestyle, we are providing our own complete isolated standalone store by the franchisees, and company will be supplying and replenishing those stores. So our franchisee model is a very simple and affordable model, which has an investment of around 7 to 8 lakhs or ultimately 10 lakhs, depending on the location, because in this more major component is the rental charges of the stores and rest company, because there is the franchisee doesn't have to spend any money on working capital as far as buying is concerned. Company takes care of complete marketing, social media marketing, print, audio, video, and rest of social medias. And the franchisee is only supposed to man the stores, and company will be providing him catchment. So in a city like Pune, we have proposed around 15 to 18 stores. In Mumbai, we have envisaged around 56 to 60 stores. Likewise, we have done our due diligence with Goa and Bangalore. Bangalore, we could be launching by first half of this 21. So we identified some locations in good locations of Bangalore. So this entire the effort that now been doing in Pune is at the cost and consequence of company itself, and trying to, take out the existing problems there and make it more convenient and affordable for the buyers. So each of the stores have been mapped in Pune. So such that each store can cover around 5 to 6 kilometers radius, so that entire set of stores put together will be able to cover complete city. So on the same lines, we are doing it the rest of the metros also. So we are yet to go beyond Pune. Mumbai already we have started 2 years ago. Mumbai has really been taking off well. So by this year end, we'll be able to at least establish 5 stores in Mumbai and 5 stores in Pune. So the organic as a veg market, if you closely observe, probably you are aware of now the need of the food. So you will agree with me that when it is organic, it needs to be a complete product range covering the entire food stuff. So we have established our own dairy in Pune area. In the extension of Pune, we are providing a A2 milk along with A2 ghee, and we are yet to go for the rest of the byproducts of the milk. So in the entire gamut, we are covering complete fruits and vegetables. We are covering complete grains and pulses, and covering the milk products. Besides this, we have established our processing center in Belgaum for providing a processed juices for vegetables and fruits. So that again, we are on 16 products. We have been able to take out the output, and that particular processing unit is again supported by our innovation called sterilization. Using sterilization, we are avoiding the preservatives and having a shelf life. Our first product is almost crossed 2 years with a 200 ml denomination, and has been successfully been used since last 18 months. So to speak about this particular range of products, we are probably only company in Pune at least, and Mumbai to my knowledge, who has covered such a vast range of products. And these are our brands. This is a Fresh Fusion is a juices, Cashier is a milk brand, Grains is a Select Organic. So to that
Patel
extent,
sir, maybe we can try wrapping up. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be just finishing up all this. These are the images that I'm putting across you. And our we had conducted a press conference last 2018, and we launched in Pune. And these are forming some images, and this is our some accolades offered by government. And this is how we are placed. These are a typical image of stores, and which complete gives and a housewife will not go anywhere other than Vegmart if really thinks for going for organic. This is a Mumbai store, the extreme left one, and rest one is Pune ones. This is how we are placed.
Maybe you can keep the images open while I introduce the next speaker so that they can have a look. So thank you, Mr. Ashok Patil, for this elaborate presentation. And like you said, you're dealing with a wide range of marketing across the agri commodities. So thank you for that.
Shall I stop the sharing?
Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
So thank you, Mr. Patil. So next we have, I'll do a very brief introduction, Mr. S.K. Avati. He is a 1981 mechanical batch. He also did MTech from NITK itself, graduated 1985. And then he has been mostly in the mechanical domain in the area of valves, actuators. He set up his own enterprise in 1995, Supriya Prototech. And he later in 2005, he was one of the founder directors of Samyukta Agrotech. And he'll be talking more about that today, which is in the, he will talk more, it is in the more area of inputs, fertilizers, conditioners, and several other products. So I'll invite Mr. S.K. Avati to take charge here. We are running slightly late, so would request you to keep it within 10 minutes. Mr. Avati, can you unmute?
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Srikanth. You made my job easy. I'll straight away, having given only 10 minutes time, I straight away run to the subject. We have started this company called Samyukta Agritech in the year 2005 in Dharwad. And we are manufacturing and marketing NPK granulated fertilizers, organic fertilizers.
Sir, your video, please.
Okay. Yeah. There is something wrong. It's on.
You can also share the slides.
It's okay. Go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah.
So do you want us to share your slides? Or?
Yeah. You can please share the slides.
Okay.
Yeah. I think video is on now. I think. Okay.
Yeah. Now it's on.
Yeah. Okay. Srikanth, Mr. Srikanth, you can share the slides.
I'm just opening it up. You can continue speaking, sir.
Okay. In this agri business, we are manufacturing granulated NPK fertilizers, organic fertilizers, soil conditioners, and customized fertilizers under the brand of Nandini. These what are these NPK granulated fertilizers are? For the overall growth of the plant, the main elements required are N, P, and K, but they are not abundantly, sufficiently available in the soil, and there is a problem in agriculture. To overcome this problem, that inadequacy of nutrients, we need to add external NPK, nitrogen, phosphorus, and potash fertilizers to be added to the extensive growth of the plant. N is nitrogen is a part of a chlorophyll molecule and is needed for the vegetative growth of the plant. P is phosphorus, promotes the root growth, flowering, and setting seeds in the fruits. K is potash, helps for green steady stem, deep roots, and develops climate, pest, and disease resistance property in the plants. I tell you one thing, all plants do not require the same composition of NPK. Different plants need different proportions, like different plants are to be highlighted, like some plants roots are to be highlighted, like potato and radish and sweet potato and all. And some plants stems are to be highlighted, where to give more fertilizer, or that part of the fertilizer to be given, like stem, that is sugar cane and all, some fruits, some seeds, based on the use. These fertilizer companies manufacture only basic fertilizers, urea and DAP, which have got a fixed composition. That's where our role to play. We use these basic fertilizers and prepare the composition, different composition specific to the crops. Example, on the screen you can see 17, 17, 17. It is for sugarcane, maize, and cotton and chili. 20, 0 is for jawar. 15, 5, 5 is for vegetables. 14, 6, 21 is plantation, coconut, and areca nut. 10, 20, 10 is for tur and all pulses. And what are the problems in using NPK fertilizers? Excessive use of this NPK fertilizer is harmful and cause water pollution. That is, the nitrogen and phosphorus of NPK, N, P, and K, nitrogen and phosphorus of NPK fertilizer leach out and mix in the groundwater and river and lakes and cause water pollution. These chemical fertilizer, NPK, burn the crops also when the water is inadequate, increases air pollution, it evolves green gases, acidification of soil, and mineral depletion. Chemical fertilizer, that is NPK fertilizer, kill bacteria and other microorganisms. The bacteria and microorganisms form the life of the soil. That is the main soil that requires those. The continuous use of these fertilizers leads to degradation of soil health, that is fertility is lost. And toxic metals in the fertilizer may affect the human health. And to this effect, the problems of NPK, the nation has introduced a national mission for sustainable agriculture. The objectives of these are avoid the use of chemicals and pesticides, climate resilient farming, conserve natural resources like water and soil health, make agriculture more productive and sustainable by optimizing the use of production, storage, and distribution. Mr. Patil has been up dealt so far. That was excellent. That's because of these problems faced by NPK, we have introduced organic fertilizer called PROM. That is phosphate-rich organic manure. This is an alternative to DAP and SSP, diammonium phosphate and single super phosphate. This is a 100% organic fertilizer, and this reduces the phosphate fixation. That is, the residual phosphate is useful. In the phosphate in the NPK fertilizer, only 20% is used. The balance gets fixed and forms another compound which are insoluble and not useful to the soil. It is not useful to the plant. Whereas in the PROM, whatever is available, all the phosphate is useful, that doesn't get converted. PROM is made by co-composting of high-grade rock phosphate in the fine sizes of grain sizes, and this is co-composting with the organic manure, compost or cow dung or domestic kitchen waste, and or compost press mud. There is a sugarcane waste that we use. We use compost press mud, which is a sugarcane waste, in the 1:1 proportion. The organic fertilizer, the PROM, contains 10% phosphate as against 46% in DAP and 16% in SSP. The advantage here is only, though it is 10%, it is totally 100% is useful to the soil, whereas 46% of DAP is only 20% or 25% is used. The balance gets converted, which cannot be used anymore. 4 to 6% of silica it contains, and that is pest resistant to the crop. And it also contains 6 to 8% calcium, and that is a basic requirement to the crop, and 1 to 1.5% iron, which develops root and shoot. The main thing is it contains organic matter that cultures logarithmic growth of microorganisms. That is the life of soil, actually. The benefits of using PROM, in normal NPK fertilizer, only 30% of the phosphorus is used, and balance gets converted to insoluble salts and adds to the soil as a chemical. But in PROM, 100% phosphate is used either in the first crop or the second crop or subsequent crops, but no fixation of phosphate. That's an advantage. Phosphorus doesn't leach out and soil and pollute the water. The compost in the from cultures microorganisms to grow. That is the life of soil, and soil fertility increases by crop. That improves the soil structure. Compost contains nitrogen, however, additional nitrogen can be used. Variety of organic waste, including municipal solid waste, can also be used for making PROM. PROM is alternative to DAP and has nitrogen fixing culture. The soil is made of air, water, and decayed plant residue, organic matter, and minerals such as salt, sand, and clay. The healthy soils are porous, which allows water, air to pass through. The soil health I refer is a soil quality, is defined as very important. It is a continued capacity of the soil to function as a vital living ecosystem that sustains plants, animals, and humans. That is this soil health, whatever we define. So the soil health is measured with respect to 12 parameters, namely the macronutrients, 3 macronutrients, nitrogen, phosphorus, that NPK, and 1 secondary nutrient, that's sulfur, and 5 micronutrients, zinc, iron, copper, manganese, and boron. And 3 physical parameters. The one is pH of the soil, and electrical conductivity, and organic carbon. Based on this, soil health card will be, they can indicate the fertilizer usage, and they can recommend and also amend how to build, construct the fresh soil. This, when soil is mismanaged and the quality is degraded by the use of these chemical fertilizers, what you have to do is you have to set right in the sense we have another soil conditioner set right, and that can be used to the soil so that it regains the life. The composition of set right is calcium 15% by weight, magnesium 3%, and sulfur 4%. The soil conditioner is a product which is added to improve the soil's physical quality and rebuild the irrigated soil. It improves water retention, and pH of the soil it improves. Having given 10 minutes time, I have to run through this.
If you can just conclude, sir.
Yeah, I'll conclude now.
Cover most in the question.
Use of chemical NPK fertilizers induces nutrient deficiencies and deteriorate soil health. And adopt site-specific balanced fertilizers and motivate the use of secondary and micronutrients and organic manures, biofertilizers, and amendments. Amendments is set rights. Promote more investments in fertilizer sector to develop sustainable agriculture. Utilize all indigenously available nutrient sources, that is to avoid the imports. Develop new efficient fertilizer products through R&D applications. Effective soil testing services can back up the precise fertilizer use, and creating awareness among the farmers for benefit balanced use of fertilization. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for that presentation. And I will come back to you with some Q&A as well towards the end. Okay. Next, I'd like to go to Mr. Uttam Gowda. He was 1 year senior to me at NITK. Uttam is from 2008 batch of electrical. Started his career in management consulting with the Tata Strategic Management Group, and later went on to the venture capital space as well, being a vice president at O3 Capital. His last stint was at Nekanti Seafoods, where I guess he learned a lot of insights on the seafood and aquaculture space. He led the IPO there, and post that he is now the co-founder and CEO of Captain Fresh. And maybe Uttam, I'll leave you to talk more about Captain Fresh and seafood and aquaculture opportunity in India.
Thank you so much, Shrikant. Shrikant, I would need permission to share the screen.
Yeah, Sujan, can you make Uttam also a co-host?
Yeah, I'm just making.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I think it's wonderful to meet all of you. Good morning to all of you. Like Shrikant mentioned, a large part of my last 10 years has been spent on covering multiple sectors. more as an analyst, not trying to see where the value is, etc., etc. And that's where uh, I had chosen seafood as a sector. It's been 4 5 years since I started covering seafood. So a lot of insights that I may give would be what I have looked at it from in the last 4 or 5 years. Uh, I just sharing this screen. Yeah. 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 So 2015 is when I started seafood sector, covering seafood sector, initially as an investment banker. And then I moved to an industry in Nekkanti, where I was executive vice president, helping them out on the corporate strategy. A couple of years there, and then I found the sector to be extremely interesting. And the domestic seafood was very, I would say, early stages of evolution. So I found opportunity there. So that's when I started plunged and took the and started Captain Fresh. So we started Captain Fresh in 2019. So that way we are a fairly young, early stage startup, 18 months old. The way I would, the next 10 minutes, I'll cover largely about what we think about the industry and the problems that we are trying to solve, and maybe a brief about what we are doing as a company, right? Indian seafood sector at an overall level, very few people may realize it's one of the largest sectors in India. Some estimates peg it at around $50 billion in terms of size. Meat and seafood, which is what it is part of, is close to $100 billion, around for 5 trillion rupees. Very few people realize from a size standpoint, this is almost as large as the entire Indian food services space, or almost half as large as the Indian IT services space, which has plenty of high market cap companies that are out there. And India is a very well endowed country from a seafood standpoint. Close to 14.5 million fishermen engaged. India is the second largest producer of seafood, because it has a very large coastline. But having said that, fundamentally, if you see globally, there are companies in the seafood sector which have created a massive amount of value. You have companies creating tens of billions of dollars in the global landscape. But Indian players, there are hardly any Indian players in this list, like you may see, although we are like the second largest producer in the world. I think this is true to a lot of sectors in the agri value chain. While we are very strong on the production side, on the upstream side, on the downstream side, or on the side where there is a lot of value getting created, Indian companies are conspicuously absent. I think the policy also is currently pushing a lot towards the processing and uh, for Indian entrepreneurs to play a larger role, much larger role in the value-added side of the products, which eventually may lead to a lot of value creation. Why is India not able to, or in Indian seafood, why is it that we are not able to produce the kind of results, outcomes that rest of the world is able to see, even with a much smaller, much smaller seafood production base? Is because fundamentally there are two challenges to this. One is there is huge wastage in the supply chain. Close to 1/3 of what we produce gets wasted because of mishandling, inefficiencies, etc., etc. And then it's very under-marketed. There aren't enough marketing channels for the Indian seafood, both on the export side and on the domestic side. Because of which, although India is the second largest producer, is neither like the largest exporter in any case, or nor the domestic consumption is any meaningful in terms of size. So domestic consumption is just 5 kg per year per capita, which is like 10 times lower than what global averages look like. And this is in a scenario where, against a lot of widely held beliefs, India is largely a non-veg driven country. Close to 75% of India is consumes non-vegetarian. And in this kind of a scenario, close to 80% of India is close to very close to chronic protein deficiency. So there is, at one side there is availability, second side people do eat the protein, but the other side is the actual consumption is not happening, and then there is wastage, which is really destroying the wealth, destroying the value that all of these farmers, fishermen otherwise would have earned. Now, if you look at why there is so much of inefficiency across this long and fragmented supply chain, actually, seafood supply chain is very similar to any other agri supply chain, where you have fragmentation on both the sides. You have suppliers which are very fragmented. So on the marine side, you have almost 1,500 coasts, few lakh boats, and a few million fishermen dependent on the entire ecosystem. So you can imagine the amount of fragmentation that is there on the production side, and on the on the sales side, or on the supply side as well, or on the demand side as well. It is largely held together by the small stores, hawkers, pushcart vendors, etc., etc. So there is huge fragmentation. So when there is a fragmentation to this order, there is no strong big brother in the entire supply chain who will try and hold the material flow in an efficient way, right? And to top all of it, there is poor infrastructure. There is no cold storage facilities. There are a bunch of other inefficiency factors embedded in the supply chain, which leads to overall wastage, right? So, what do we do as Captain Fresh? So, in this context, what we are trying to build is a managed business to business marketplace. So, we are trying to put together our own asset at the coast. So, we have our own collection centers at Udupi, Bhimavaram, Nellore, Nagapattinam, across close to 15, 16 places across the coast. And on the demand side, we have our own distribution centers. We have our distribution center in Bangalore, in Chennai, in Mumbai, in Hyderabad as we speak. And we have our own employees going out there, purchasing the seed, assessing the quality. We have our own first mile, which gets the seafood directly to the distribution centers. And we have a last mile distribution as well, which takes it to the customers. And our customers today come in all forms and shapes. So we work with online players like Licious, Freshform, Amazon, and Big Basket, and all these. And then we work with all the modern trade retailers, Trend and More and Metro and all of them. And also we work with the smaller neighborhood stores, the small fish stores that are there. So we supply fish to them. In terms of what is that we are differentiated on, we are trying to use as much technology as possible here, so that we build a very efficient supply side. So which means we use data for optimal routing, we use IoT for space tracking. We are trying to use computer vision for quality assessment, right? And also we are looking at how do we use remote aerial monitoring system to build predictability on the supply side. So these are some of the things that we are trying to do. We are a young company. We have built up a very reasonably strong technology working towards.
Your voice is breaking, Uttam. You have to come maybe a little closer to the speaker.
Is it any better, sir, now?
Yeah, now it's perfect.
Yeah. What I was saying is we are trying to use a lot of technology to improve our control over the. Hello.
Please go ahead.
Yeah.
Your time is actually, we are exceeding, so you may have to.
Sure. Yeah, on the supply side, we are trying to use as much technology as possible to more control. And on the demand side, we are kind of putting together an operating system for the retailers, which essentially is more like a ERP or a SaaS kind of a product, which helps our retailers manage their customers better, which includes all the functions that you can think of that retailer will need help on, from purchases to CRM to delivery staff management. So idea is that we put an end-to-end system, not just the product, but also the technology that needs to be embedded into the entire flow, so that the supply chain is a lot more efficient and we have a lot more control. So up until now, we have been funded by venture funds. We have folks like Matrix Partners, Anku Capital, Japanese fund called Incubate Fund, ADB Ventures, which is part of the Asian Development Bank, which has funded us. And I could start this with support from angel investors. So Nekanti, which is the largest seafood entity in India, Sandhya Aqua, which is also the largest, AZ Gems, which is the third largest US food. These were the angels. So it's been 18 months of journey, but I think we have covered a great amount of ground, and we're putting together a great team to solve this problem, because I believe this is one of, probably it could lead to a large outcome if we can get better results. I think that's what I had. Very brief bit from my side in terms of what we do, in terms of what the opportunities and how we are placed today. Happy to take questions on this. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Uttam. Actually, Srikanth is on a small short meeting. So we will start with the Q&A, and I think Vijay Das Udupa will also join us in the handling the Q&A, because there are questions which are also coming out from the YouTube participants, because we have only about 35 or so from the Zoom, and others will join us. I mean, the questions will be brought out from the YouTube channel by one of the either Vijay Das or.
Yeah, Mr. IC Rao, as I spoke to Mr. Sujan, I think not much questions are there on the YouTube. Okay. Is that right, Sujan? Sujan? Okay, so let's go ahead. I think we are running out of time. So you go ahead with the next agenda.
No, in this one, there are some only ideas for sharing with the.
No comments. We will share it with others. But if there is any specific question, please ask, sir.
No, at least in the Zoom, there is no question. So okay. Only we need to take permission from the speakers for sharing their presentation with the interested participants.
Yes.
Okay.
There is one request on Slido for creating an Agritech WhatsApp group.
Come again?
There is a request on Slido for creating an Agritech WhatsApp group.
Okay. Okay. I think some we will identify the coordinators like Mr. IC Rao and many others, and Mr. Aparna Kotri is there, and we will initiate that. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So thanks a lot for all the speakers, Mr. Ashok Patil, CMD of Vegmart, Shioppa Avati, founder of Sayukta Agro, Agritech, Uttam Gowda, founder, CEO of Captain Fresh, for practical and in-depth experience sharing. Actually, really, I got educated possibly after a long time, so much of insight into each and every part of the chain. As we discussed earlier, it may not be the first and the last. We may have some follow-up sessions. We will possibly put up some of these examples and ask them for questions as well. So maybe after 3 months or 6 months, we'll have one more follow-up session on Agritech. Thank you very much to all the speakers for their very invaluable inputs.
So, Inna sir, Mr. Ram sir has a question, so he can come on.
Yeah, please.
So, gentlemen, excellent presentations. You did us all proud. You guys are obviously doing some fantastic things. I was interested in something that you guys might all know about. One, by the way, just brief introduction. I'm 77 Kemi, have been here in the US since 78. And I'm currently working with a number of investors and helping entrepreneurs in Germany in particular, but some in the US as well. The question I have is, do any of you know of people working in the meatless meat industry? I think one of you mentioned the fact, I think it was Uttam talked about protein deficiency in India. And I think there's a lot of vegetarians out there too. There's a lot of meatless meat because of the green footprint that it has. And I'm wondering if anyone knows anyone that's working there. That's number one. And number two, I am working with a researcher, AI researcher, that's looking at vertical farming. And there's some fairly interesting things going on there for micro irrigation and fertilization. And I'd love to be able to talk to any of you independently outside of this.
Hello.
Yeah, Ram, if I have to, if I may, I know a couple of startups on the plant-based proteins. Maybe I'll connect you offline. But having said that, it's very, very early in Indian context, because of course there are a few of these which are trying to introduce it through the food services channel, because that's where a lot of adoption of products, particularly on the food space. Having said that, I don't see any retail or grocery based product which is still out there. Like I said, it's too early, at least in Indian context. So definitely I will introduce to one next market. And there is one in Singapore as well, which is again a friend of mine who's running the farm called Eat Just. But that's a US company which is, I think, which has opened in Singapore. So maybe I'll just connect you to both of them.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Hello. Hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
As we have,
Can you hear me? I am Unnati here.
Yeah, Mr. Unnati, we are ready to start. Hold on, sir. Your time is coming.
No, I want to answer for his 1977 chemical batch. What is his name? For that, I have to.
Okay, go ahead.
Ram or Srini.
You are Mr. Srini, eh?
Yeah.
Okay. Good morning, Srini. As far as vertical farming is concerned, I am into it, and I am making a lot of progress in this area. And I have set up my own lab over here. And shortly, I am going to upscale it to higher level for the production of fruity vegetables. Generally, nobody has thought about fruity vegetable in the hydroponics, NFT type. I'm going to do it in terms of.
Unnati, you have a slot of 2 minutes. I think you will be speaking about it. And as I see here, there is need for this WhatsApp group now. I think international, globally, we can connect all the people on the topic. Okay. So we are going ahead. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much. And this is Udupa here, and I'm taking you to the next this one. Mr. Chandrakant, I'm just presenting you. Go ahead and calling the names and keep the timing. Mr. Chandrakant and Srikanth. Hello. Okay, are you seeing? Okay, welcome to.
Yeah, can you see my?
No. Hold on, sir. Hold on.
Yes, we can see your slides.
Sir, there is a order in which we will take it, Mr. Chandrakant, sir. Please don't share anything.
Okay.
So you are not going to share anything now. Just talk 2 minutes now. So this is the program now. Okay, please. And are you seeing the screen? Okay, the 2 minute speakers are not sharing anything now. They are just talking, and the slide will be put on the screen. Okay, thank you very much. And okay, that is Mr. Chandrakant's house in his farm. Okay, thank you. Copyright. I have taken the photo and taken the permission to publish. Okay, thank you very much. It's worth visiting, and I have visited there. He has explained the whole place very nicely. Thank you. Any one of you are near Mangalore, you can talk to Mr. Chandrakant and visit. Yeah, Mr. Onanthi, come online and speak now for 2 minutes.
Very good morning. I am from 1973 batch ENC and retired from Wipro. Since then, I am into the agriculture, and now I have been experimenting with hydroponic NFT systems. Most of these people, they talk about NFT in leafy vegetables, lettuce and all those things. But in India, the consumption of leafy vegetables is very low. So I am experimented with fruity vegetables like tomato, cucumber, English, local, etc. Bell peppers, green, yellow, red, hot chilies, beans, etc. along with the leafy vegetables. I have been successful in terms of getting these right results in my small experimental lab, and shortly I am planning to upscale it to the larger scale for the production. Here the novelty is that I am using a round PVC pipe rather than gutter type, which has been advocated across the world, which is very costly affair. And they talk about greenhouses or polyhouses, wherein the natural weather is cut off totally, and we try to recreate the weather inside these polyhouses. But India, we are blessed with excellent weather, sun, and air. So I am trying to make use of it and worked out on a low cost invention for this using the round pipes. As somebody was saying, that marginal farmers will definitely benefit from this. That is one thing. I have been assisted with GKVK, IIHR, and horticulture department also. I am.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you. We are going to the next one.
Okay.
Yogi, come put on your video and
yeah, thanks, Udupa. Hi, my name is Yogi. I'm 95 batch mechanical. Now, what we're trying to do here at Fresh Ground is we're trying to bring, see, spices is a 5,000-year-old business in India. And we are the largest consumer producer of spices across the world. Now, this business has not seen innovation in the last 50 years. So we are trying to bring an innovation using technology in this business. We have applied for a patent for fresh grinding of spices that can be done at scale in small batches. Now, what that allows you to do is to get a freshly ground product very close to you and within a few hours or days of when it is ground. This is conventionally impossible with the traditional methods that are available. So what this ultimately does for the end customer, he gets a far, far superior product. The supply chain is transparent and clear, because in some places customers can actually see the physical grinding happening in front of them. So there is zero adulteration, zero contamination, and there is distributed grinding, which ensures a far superior product reaches the end customer. Now we are taking this innovation to the market. We launched on Amazon this May. We are now available in the north, at least in Gurgaon area, on Big Basket. And we are now, looking at scaling this and other opportunities to take it global. So you see some pictures there. I have the taster pack here, which is available on Amazon as well, because we want people to experiment, experience the difference. There is a huge difference between high quality spices that India produces and what is commercially available in the market.
Thank you, Yogi.
Thank you, Udupa. That's it for me.
So next on this one is Mr. Chandrakant Rao.
Udupare, I require shared screen.
Oh, you have, I think. Just speak. In video is there.
I have 4 slides very quickly.
No.
I need to.
Please, no. Yeah. It is disturbing the whole this one. Please share this one. Just talk, sir, please.
Okay.
Please go ahead. It will disturb the whole.
No, the idea, I just closed my earlier presentation telling that we have grown 6 varieties of fruits. out of which Arka Kiran Guava from Indian Institute of Horticulture Research, Bangalore, is something which we have now got into pilot stage. That means after 5 years of trials in my field, that it is working well. IHR, we have bought the technology, and we have now taken 9 farmers into our fold who are marginal farmers, half an acre. And this pilot project is now 18 months old. The first crop we have started getting. In another 4 months, we should be getting the full crop. The idea actually is to take over, I mean, once the pilot is through, our idea is to experiment with this in the entire Karavali region, that means Uttara Kannada, Dakshina Kannada and Udupi, and take at least 500 to 800 farmers into this farmers producers organization and encourage them. Currently the pilot project is fully supported by my trust and partly supported by also by the Karnataka government. And this Arka Kiran Guava will be placed. Actually, we have already done the trademark for the guava, which will be grown in our villages. And this will be presented as a health brand, which is basically this particular guava is proven to be anti-cancerous, both preventive and curative.
Okay,
We'll be positioning it that way.
Okay.
So sometime maybe I'll share the presentation if it is required.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you. Yeah, Mr. Amrut, go ahead. Amrut,
Yes, thank you very much for the opportunity. Yeah, can you hear me, sir?
Yes, yes, go ahead.
Yes. Yeah, so my background is in technology. I graduated in 2010 IT batch. For the last 10 years, I was working in the US, and then I moved back to India to start up in the agriculture sector. And so over the last 3 to 4 months, me and a couple of co-founders have been traveling around rural Tamil Nadu, and we have been talking to a lot of FPOs in the region. And what we have discovered is that FPOs, the biggest place where FPOs need support is with marketing. So they get good infrastructure support from the government, and they get financial support from players like NABARD and Samunnati. But what is lacking in the market, where there's a big gap in that they need access to market linkage, and they need access to connecting with like food processing and FMCG companies to be able to get better prices for their produce. So I would like to use this opportunity to reach out to the NITK alumni network to connect with business leaders at all these big food processing companies like Unilever or Cargill, ITC, and other FMCG companies, so that we can provide better market linkage and market access to FPOs across Tamil Nadu and as well as like South India in general. So thank you very much.
Kusle sahib, Nayed kya?
Okay.
Back to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you. And
Okay.
Mr. Srinivas Raju. Mr. Srinivas Raju from Hospet. Please put on your video and speak. Srinivas. Yeah, Srinivas happens to be my batchmate. He has a farm in Hospet, close to Hampi. I don't know whether he's online. Okay, we are going ahead.
Good morning, Udupa and everyone. Chandrakant.
Okay, you're there. Go ahead.
Yes, I am Srinivas Raju, 88 batch civil. I have a farm of 8 acres in World Heritage Site at Hampi. Mr. Chandrakant sir, Udupa, myself, and Mr. Albur and all happened to visit my farm during inauguration of Ballari chapter, right? And we are into concept of integrated. We are into concept of integrated farming. I have a farm of hello.
Mr. Honati, please mute yourself. Yeah, go ahead, Srinivas.
Yes. We are into the concept of integrated farming. We mainly do paddy organic base, and we have around 120. Someone is disturbing. Hello.
Go ahead, Srinivas.
Yes. We are into the concept of integrated farming. Mainly, we have paddy. Around that thing, we have 120 trees of coconut. We are into beekeeping, and a small pond of inland fisheries we have. And mainly my produce and all, we sell it here locally. We don't have any marketing problems, issues as such. And this session has enabled me to come across all my NITK alumni who are helpful, and I'm keeping in touch with Mr. Auti and all, that having given me an opportunity to speak. And thank you, everyone.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. And next on the line is Mr. Kiran Shirsagar. Mr. Kiran, are you there? Please unmute and come online and speak. Hello.
Hello. Yeah, good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Thank you very much, Bangalore chapter, for giving me this opportunity. I am 97 batch mechanical engineer. So after working for around 20 years in cold room and refrigeration industry and dairy industry, I started my own venture, Froscolina Tech Services, with the mission to create a healthy India by providing the customized refrigeration and commercial kitchen equipment for the food and pharma industry. So post lockdown, what we realized was that food industry and the pharma industry are the major sectors which will not close down anytime. So today, if we see the situation in India and what others speakers talked about in the forum, that we are almost wasting around 30% of our farm produce, or the around 25% of our vaccine, because of the lack of infrastructure in India, like roads, then transportation, then cold chain, and other infrastructure related problems. So now currently we are working on the solar cold room, so that we can harvest the solar energy, and we can ensure that despite of the power cut, we can have a good cold chain infrastructure. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, Mr. Vishnu Raj, please unmute.
This is Vishnu here. So I'm from 95 batch mechanical. So moved back to India last year, and I'm into analytics, like analytics space, and working with a couple of agri-tech companies, improving their analytics and so on. So predominantly into that space and IT solutions and management consulting. I'm also invested in a lot of startups. In fact, I've invested in a couple of agri-tech firms. One of the agri-tech firm is into IoT and improving the farm productivity and so on. So they have done a lot of work in Nashik, grape farms and stuff. So they're moving back to Bangalore. So I'm on their board of directors. So that's where I'm into. And I also, last 3 months, I conceptualized a community pet farm. It's a pet farm collective, predominantly, to focus on produce, like for example, A2 milk or dairy products, or goat cheese and so on. So problem statement here is urban community is always busy and no space to own these so-called pets, like cows or buffaloes or whatever, right? So near to the city, we are trying to set up farms in our friends' farms. I have my own farm and my friend's farm. So anybody can own like 10, 15, cows, and the produce will come to them. And we also have a marketplace where, various farms can sell their produces to the members at the discounted price, as well as, sell it to the customers. So B2B and B2C. So that's where we are heading towards. It's early stage startup. So we already have one farm. We are planning to grow to Mysore this year, Mangalore, Tumkur, and so on. So that's an interesting space. I'll take it offline because it's really early stage. We just built the platform and other stuff. So maybe this year, we're going to reach out to all of you guys. So where I'm interested in is, if anybody's interested in agri-tech analytics, please reach out to us. We are also doing geo-analytics, partnering with the various geo-analytics firms.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Vishnu Raj. Thank you very much. And instead of Mr. Ramakrishna,
Yes.
Shadabi will talk.
Yes.
Yes,
Good morning, sir. I would like to thank, I'm actually substituting V.A. Ramakrishna. My name is Siddharam Shabadi. I am from NITK 1980 Metallurgy. And I'm not talking about the agri-tech and everybody is talking about, but then we thought we would use this opportunity to talk about our trust, SNEHA. SNEHA stands for Social Networking for Education, Health and Art. Actually, this trust started in 2007 just to help one of our batchmate who died very young age, and he had 2 kids to be educated. So we started this as a small trust then in 2007, and we saw them through. Those 2 kids, they are well settled now. But then after that, I thought we would extend this activity to the larger audience and the larger group. So we chose to serve in education. That was first part of our trust, education, health and art. So we chose education, and we thought we will educate or help the, help the socially and economically backward students. We chose right now Bangalore as our starting operations. We are educating, we are starting to provide the education to 8th, 9th and 10th. That's where we, thought that it's a formative years before they launch their careers. So we have started this, and then we, joined NITK for the larger connections. And then thanks to Krishnamurthy, then we became part of the Rotary NITK SNEHA. We provide all this education to 8th, 9th and 10th, and we are looking forward to all of your support in terms of the, either the mentoring or, for example, now there is an offline and online classes. So we provided some tabs. So we are already, the 1980 batch. So we are looking for the younger batches to come and help us either in terms of the mentoring or, sponsoring the child. So we are looking forward to the help from all of you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So sorry, everyone, we are running out of time. We may take 10 more minutes and wind up the whole session for today. And next on the line, Mr. Kirtiraj Salyan, if he's there, because he's into aquaculture from Mumbai. Mr. Salyan, are you there? Okay, if he's not there, I didn't see him on the Zoom. Anyway, okay, I take it on to Mr. Our chapter president, Basuraj.
Hi. Good.
Go ahead.
Good morning, Vijay Udupa. Am I audible?
Yes, very much.
Yes, yeah. So, very happy New Year to all the members who've been present here. So it's been a pleasure. Once again, I'm given an opportunity to say a few things out here. So it's very heartening to see. All the technocrats have been turning into farmers in this particular situation. So I know Ashok Patil pretty well. He's in the same space that I am in, the real estate. So we try to work together, but now he has been totally, moved on to Vega Mart, which is really appreciating. And Auti sir has been trying to, I've been visited his industry in Hubli, and he was into manufacturing of valves. Okay, if I remember that time, now he's been also moved into, see what passion can take people anyway. So even Uttam Gowda, the Captain Fresh, which is very, very interesting. Good to know, how things change for all of us. Because we go through, various things and finally end up at some place, and so that, everybody gets benefit out of it. This session, really good. Thanks to Udupa and Sujan putting it through once again. A new concept, new idea, and a new way of reaching out to the people. And it's very nice. So IC Rao's farm is really well. One should visit. So the coordination between IC Rao and Shrikant Prabhu was excellent. I'm sure everybody would have been enjoyed on this. From the Bangalore, we've been doing quite a few things. Thanks to, it's almost a year that we've been running this breakfast meeting through online. And it's been taking, moving from step to step, and it's been improving quite well. And hopefully, soon that we will get into a kind of a face-to-face meeting, and so that people can meet much more and have real breakfast along with your friends and enjoy the time out there, whatever that you spend, in fact. So this the main thing of NITK, I mean, is coming together. I mean, trying to see, I mean, how much that we could share and work together and try to enhance things. So on the update of the Bangalore chapter, as you know, that we have formed a company called NITK Alumni Housing Development Company. So we opened up the membership, and as of now we have about 236. We have not closed the membership. Only reason is if the people have been wanting to come and join, let them join as much as possible. There's a lot of energy, a lot of spirit out here. I mean, a lot of inputs have been coming out here, so which has been interesting. So here, I mean, shortlisted properties towards the North Bangalore have been in progress. And yesterday also the core team went and met one of the owner. I mean, trying to see, I mean, how exactly they can close these lands that what we have seen as early as possible, so that the people can take the next steps of, I mean, moving forward. So that's the spirit which has been going on quite well with us. And the other things that we've been trying to work on is the Bangalore chapter has been trying to promote the website for NITK. So we are looking for sponsors for the website. So here there are many entrepreneurs are there. If you would like to, I mean, be a part of a website, and so that, I mean, it's going to help you in your business. It's going to help in connecting with the people. So please do reach out to Udupa or any of us out here. We'll try to see, I mean, how exactly you can support our website, and also, I mean, turn around your businesses altogether as such. So small things that, I mean, which I mean, I have been trying to add to the real estate industry, where that, I mean, we have developed the layouts. So where the people are not built, what we've done is in Mysore, some of you people know a project called Bird Song, which has been close to Ranganthittu Bird Sanctuary. It's about 10 acres property. So here the houses have been not built. What we did was we took the plots which people have bought in, okay, as a kind of a farming place. So, I mean, if anywhere you've been going to Mysore, you should go and check it out. So we've been growing organic vegetables in this kind of a place, in these plots, which has come out pretty well. I mean, so the people, I mean, who have owned the plots, have the vegetables on their plots. When they go, they can pluck their vegetables and use it. When they are not using it, I mean, okay, the caretaker, he takes and sells it, and the money, whatever is been received, is being used for the maintenance of the property. There are small things that we've been trying to add. I mean, that's all that I've been contributing from my side. I mean, even though being in the bricks and mortar activity per se as such. So it's been wonderful. I mean, again, thanks for the time which you people have given me to say few things. And we will, I think it's Kunjur. Yes. Kunjur, I mean, it's good to know. I mean, okay, you come back and you've been doing something which is out of earlier what we had spoken. Good to know that. And very nice to again join back with you and say a few things. I'm sure, I mean,
hi, Basaraj.
Hi, Kunjur. Good to see you.
Yeah.
So, and we hopefully, I mean, okay, we'll try to meet as early as possible in person, so that, I mean, things can be much better.
Absolutely, absolutely. Let's pick up.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Vijay. Thank you so much, Sujan. You people are doing a wonderful job.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Basaraj. Thank you very much. And a big thanks, a big round of applause to the coordinators who did a fantastic job.
Yes. Absolutely.
Chandrakant Rao and Srikant Prabhu. Thanks a lot. Okay. Thank you very much. And
thank you.
Thank you, Basaraj.
Yeah, thank you. All the best.
And thank you for the speakers, excellent knowledge, and definitely Mr. Kotri sir is there, and we have to start a Agri-Tech group, linking all over the globe. Okay. Sir, thank you very much. And going on to the next, Mr. Sujan, shall we make everyone to switch on their videos and take a group photo?
Yeah, sure, sir. We can have a group snap. So request everybody to turn on their cameras.
Yeah, those in the YouTube, I think going further, we'll also try to make, future meetings, all on one platform. And we are thinking of, because we are going more than 100 people registrations nowadays. So we will go think into that. And as you are on the this one. Do you get a snap, Sujan?
Yes.